The Limerick Motor Club hosted rounds 7 and 8 of the Electo Irish Hillclimb and Sprint Championship 2022. Unfortunately, Vantage Point Video were unable to attend the event as yours truly got struck down with what we've all been trying to avoid for the last 2 years. This programme is a summary of the championship standings after Limerick and before the final 2 weekends of the series hosted by Donegal and Connacht Motor Clubs respectively. We'll be using archive footage from previous Limerick Hillclimbs and Sprints when referring to the event. Christopher Houston returned to his winning ways on the 2 days of this closed road event, having conceded a point to the most recent championship winner, Robert Dwan, who made a singular appearance on the first day of the MEC Sprint at Mondello Racetrack. John Donnelly is his main championship rival this year in his Pilbeam MP62. He trails Houston's near perfect 79 points on 61, but with a non-score at round 2 in Galway, he could make up a lot when drop scores come into effect later in the season. Russell Stanworth is third on 52 points, but having just solved an electrical fault that was plaguing him all weekend, a mechanical one rose its head. He went from a 5th place on Saturday to an 8th. Billy White was putting in a stellar performance, recording 2 third places overall with the Class 6 Formula Renault, but a big off on Sunday may mean his car won't be fit to capitalise on being tied on points with Stanworth. 2 4th places for Ned Doherty in Limerick have consolidated 5th in the championship points for him, but after Billy and Russell's troubles, he might be one on the move up the leaderboard over the final rounds. Having sampled the sprint pace on the Sunday at Mondello, Ben O'Brien did decide to take the former championship winning Reynard to the closed roads. 6th on Saturday and then 5th Sunday shows a rapid progression for him in single-seaters. 7th in the championship now on 19 points, he could be another late climber if scores from the earlier rounds don't return. Brian Kerwin continues to lead the chase for the overall Saloon Award in the rear-wheel drive Peugeot, but Dara Fay closed on him over the weekend, gaining 3 points on Saturday and losing only 1 on Sunday to leave them just 3 apart. Dara continues to dominate Class 1A with maximum points from the entire season so far. Ray Cunningham has been equally consistent all year in his Mini with 9 points from every round. In the David Byrne Auto Repair sponsored class, Elaine Kerwin, with her front-wheel drive Starlet, has scored at every round so far this year and holds third. Patrick Spain had a non-score on round 1 in Galway, so he could have a shot at Elaine's position by the end of the year. Liam Fitzgibbon scored a 3rd and a 5th in Limerick and holds the latter position in the class standings with his Nissan Micra. In the Simon McKinley Class 1B Cento Championship, Mark Halligan re-established himself ahead of Johnny Murray in Limerick with a pair of wins. Johnny had turned the tables in Mondello with maximum points there. 7 points separate them and Murray stands to gain more from drop scores as we head up the country. Thomas Sheedy stretched out his advantage to 5 points in the Gearbox Centre West Class 2 with a further pair of maximums to add to his Sunday win in Kildare. Joe Clifford took 2 second places to maintain that position in class after a max score on the Saturday last time. Joao Ferreira has been firming up 3rd place in the championship with 2 seconds and 2/3 in the points out of the last 4 rounds. Brian Kerwin has a big lead in the Barrett Trailers Class 3A, but Air Massey and John Kennedy are separated by just 1 point for 2nd and 3rd after Air took maximum points at rounds 5 and 6 on the racetrack. 2 second places for Peter Boggin, to add to similar results at his home rounds in Wexford, have him up to 4th now after missing Galway's rounds. He's eclipsed Tommy Gardner for the position after Tommy had an argument with the wall on Sunday in Limerick. Damian Walsh has a strong lead in the Darvu.com Class 3B with scores from every round this year. Paul Hamill didn't score at the MEC event in Mondello, so he stands to gain when drop scores are imposed. Willie Barrett, just 1 point behind him, has similar potential with the non-scores from Galway. Declan Gannon only moved into the class at MEC, but is getting into the action with a 4th and a 3rd place with the Fiesta in Limerick. Ned Doherty has had a clean sweep of the top points in the Storm Hair Design Class 3C with the Speedcar GTR. Rory Stevens continued his streak of seconds in Limerick with the space-framed Escort Mark 1. We've had lots of visitors in the CBI Freight Historic Class 4, but Mick O'Shea is the only one registered for points that has scored consistently this year, enjoying his MGB GT. Enda Byrne has a great lead in the MEC sponsored Class 5, but Sean McNamara put an end to his perfect scorecard with a win on Sunday in Limerick. Siobhan McCann is just 1 point behind McNamara, but she had to miss the Limerick rounds. Niall Kennedy took the 3rd place points for both rounds 7 and 8 to add to 4th place points from Wexford. Billy White has a 24 point lead in the Cottage Kitchens Class 6, but his off in Limerick may spell the end of him scoring in this category for the rest of the year. For John Mahon, who pipped Billy on the first day at Mondello, trips to Donegal and Connacht could be very worthwhile for him. In the First Aid Online Class 7, the situation for Chris Houston, John Donnelly and Russell Stanworth is much the same as the overall standings, albeit with Stanworth just 3 points behind Donnelly in the class. Former champion and early challenger this season Frank Burns hasn't returned after gearbox issues on the first day of the MEC rounds. He's now 4th, with Ben O'Brien closing on him. In the DPF Clinic sponsored Class 8A, where Seamus Anderson has taken a maximum score from the 8 rounds so far, Andrew Purser is keeping him honest with straight second places. Similar points on another round, plus one more point would secure the category for Anderson. Andrew Farmer has similarly dominated the Brian Kerwin Auto Development's Class 8B, with Pierce Hendricks second when he competed in Wexford and Mondello. Liam O'Neill is the sole registered driver in the Polar Installations Class 9A, but he would have to compete on all the remaining rounds to be eligible for an award, having only done the 2 Wexford rounds so far. Chris Snow Jr. has a clean sweep so far in the Billy White Services Class 9B. Chris Snow Sr. is holding on to a strong second place, and Alan Kane is 3rd with 35 points from 4 finishes. Jack Deegan is just behind with 33 also from 4, so there's competition there for the 3rd place between those two if they travel to the final weekends. Tony Ferris has won the Sureside Construction Class 10 since round 3 in his BMW Compact. Declan Gannon scored 2 maximum scores on the opening rounds in Galway in a BMW before moving to Class 3B with a Ford. The next rounds of the championship will be hosted by the Donegal Motor Club on the 3rd and 4th of September 2022. The 50th anniversary of the event will be the Danny Gormley Memorial Nakala Hillclimb, in recognition of his huge contribution to the running of motorsport events in the Northwest, which included the Hillclimb. Gormley sadly passed away in May 2021, and this will be the first opportunity for the Hillclimb community to pay tribute to him by continuing the event that he built into one of the favourites on the calendar.